This is the Body Bag Session. Across the line radio.
You got a phone, you can text me and shit.
Let me see. Let me set this up so I can get both of us on it for a quick second. Bear with me 1 second. Let me set this down. Hey, Shalom Israel, as y'all come up in here. Shalom. For those that don't know, I got my man Garfield in the building. Y'all check Garfield out. All right, we putting Garfield on the hot seat. He got an upcoming debate. So y'all gonna hear some of the questions now. Y'all not gonna get all the questions.
Hold up. I crossed the fucking line, yo. What the fuck? I crossed the line. What the problem is? Say it. All right.
Yeah, Garfield actually had the heart. You know what I mean? Crossed the line. He came up in here. I told him I had, for those that don't know, me and Garfield is doing a debate March 22nd. And on March 22nd, we doing a debate. You're debating Jabari. What's the subject?
Jabari's Kemetic influence on Christianity. What we're going to do, though, we got to decide on the rounds what the main inner topic's going to be. Okay. That's vague. I'm not
right,
vague.
Okay, so y'all ain't get the breakdown.
Right.
Because I know, like, mine with Dr. Bantu, the primary debate is Christianity good for our people? And then the second is Christianity the white man's religion?
Wow, that's
so
first topic, though.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. He might get you on that one, bro.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to show it. I mean, it's definitely going to be pretty good. So I'm assuming the way we've done the debates in the past, usually there's a 15-minute opening.
Right.
And then the first round is the subject, the second round is the subject. So I'm assuming that's how the format is going to be. So that's what you got to work out with Jabari.
Jabari. Yeah, we're going to do that tonight. We're going to have a conference call and work it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. It's interesting. And one of the reasons I wanted to do the interview now, of course, this is the hot seat, you know what I mean? So we ask questions. And so before we get directly into that, what would you call, if you had one, your spiritual background or upbringing? Like, what would you call it? Like, where would it come from?
I was baptized at 9.
Okay.
Right. I grew up in the church. When I mean I grew up in the church, I grew up in the church.
Okay.
Open holler. Studied the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I've been studying the Bible for over 30 years, family.
Okay.
Whether I believed in it.
So for 30 years,
I've been going
rock
to the
hard.
churches.
Go ahead. Okay.
So, not believing as in rock hard, but I mean, I remember when I came here, my best friend in college, he put me onto the NOI, so I switched. Okay. And, and in between that, a little Rastafarian is there and there, you know.
I don't think a Benjamite can avoid the Rastafari. When I say Benjamite, of course, I mean like West Indian and stuff like that. I think that's something like the way, if Christianity is in black people, that Rastafarian, you got to come out the womb like with the Rastafari. So I would expect you to say that. So what made you transition out of Christianity into something else? Like bring me like a timeline. So
I thought the NOI was
Okay.
Yeah. The NOI was very attractive. I thought Farrakhan was a charismatic dude who I really admired.
Okay.
And I mean, when I went in there, they have something called orientation. So like when somebody comes to your camp, they don't just say, "Hey, I'm a Hebrew Israelite." Remember, you gotta vet them. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So you got a vetting process. So they have something called orientation, where you sit down and you study every Monday. You study and you got to write a letter to the same way Elijah wrote a letter to Master Farad Muhammad. Okay. So you got to write that exact handwriting like Elijah, and then they send a letter to Chicago and make you a part of the Book of Life. Okay. And from there, you got to now recite on the Monday. You got to recite to get my X to be Garfield X. I got to recite certain lessons and teachings that they have, like these 10 questions. Who's the original man? The maker of the cream of the planet, or God universe? How much land is in the water? How much circles to the earth? So all that stuff I have to recite. I never got the chance to recite, so I never got my X. Okay. Because the Nation of Islam, answer number 7 here, as you go in there, they ask you, the first thing they ask you, you married, you got a job, and how many kids you got. Right. And what they did was they gave me jobs, so they had me working on.
So they had you working on that. Okay.
And working
at Spike Lee movies.
Yeah, I used to work in movies. I used to bodyguard Spike Lee, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Put my life on the line for Spike.
Put your life on the line for
Spike Lee. So
Okay.
That damn weasel. Yeah, man, I've been like in the projects in Brooklyn, man, walking around Fort Greene projects, and when he's filming Clockers or whatever, and wherever he went, you had to go. I wouldn't go every time, and they were like, "Yo, you gotta go with Spike."
You gotta go with Spike every time, okay?
You know?
Okay.
That damn weasel. Yeah, man, I've been like in the projects in Brooklyn, man, walking around Fort Greene projects, and when he's filming Clockers or whatever, and wherever he went, you had to go. I wouldn't go every time, and they were like, "Yo, you gotta go with Spike."
You gotta go with Spike every time, okay? Because Clockers is one of my favorite movies. You know, Clockers is based a little bit off of.
You know, I never watched it.
No?
I never watched it, man.
I know a part of the black cop in the projects, a part of that was based on a cop. I know a detective in Jersey City, where I'm from, also played a part in, I guess, giving tips, right, the character development and stuff like that.
Okay, well, yeah, but pretty much, I was in the NOI as far as orientation. Never got to Reach and got my X. I'd have been Garfield, probably 23X or something like that. But shout out to my NOI family, man. My best friend Kirk's still in the NOI today, man. We went to college together. When I got kicked out of college, it was crazy, man. The NOI came to the school to defend me and all this stuff, and you know, so I have a strong history with the NOI. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the stories I know about the NOI because I used to train in Brooklyn, jiu-jitsu or whatever they used to teach us, karate, some people call it karate, whatever. And I used to train with the guy who's the national trainer now for the Nation of Islam, Anthony Muhammad. We used to train together. Professor Moses Powell, who used to train the NYPD in the 60s, part of the FOI from Elijah Muhammad days. He used to be the head over the When Worlds Collide. So, but at the When Worlds Collide, though, we used to have an organization called the Black African Holocaust Council. So I'm segueing a little bit. So my spiritual system is Christianity, a little Rastafarianism, NOI. Then I got into Kemet because I used to go to the slave theater because I got involved with When Worlds Collide, where I used to train with the NOI. And they used to bring speakers, Ishaka Musa Barashango, Professor James Small, Queen of Four. All these people used to come there and speak. So that's how I got into the knowledge of self early on in the conscious community. King Simon used to be at NOI.
Right, yeah.
So we worked security at some Caribbean concerts at Coney Islands together. So I've been
So you've been to all these.
So when people say, like sometimes you say Garfield trying to do it for fame and Sarnetta, I've been known King Simon. If I wanted to be on Sarnetta, I could have been on Sarnetta.
Gotcha.
But I chilled and laid back, and you know, forced me to go on. But as far as spiritual systems, Christianity, Rastafarianism, NOI, I dabbled a little bit in Kemet. I never really got to the spiritual part. I just love the information. I never really got
so the information so the other things you was trying to get into the spiritual side, but Kemet, you just dabbled into it information wise.
I wasn't because when you went to the slave theater, Dr. Ben, I never got the spiritual side from Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben never told me that. I don't remember Dr. Ben telling anybody at all in the 90s when I was at the slave theater to join some Kemetic shrine, and pray and do all this stuff we see people doing now.
Is it true, Doc? I know Zion usually makes this statement, or Reggie could have made this statement that Dr. Ben said, before you could leave, I might phrasing it wrong, but like something like before you leave the Bible, find a replacement before you put it down. I know Zion usually says that you got to find something to replace the Bible before you can put it down.
No.
Okay, so
let me tell you something, family. Based on what I see in our community, I wouldn't, if I'm a Christian, what are you going to? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I tell you, leave the, for what? Why am I leaving you? To go join some other movement that believe the same thing or some ideas that's similar to yours? No. To replace it, what I tell everybody is keep your God, but don't tell me that your God is better than anybody else's God. I have a problem with that. But that's what religion does, because you want to say your religion is the best. You're going to say, hey, you ain't going to see that. When we was at the day before the Unity Conference, when Gorilla Hebrew presented, Divine and all of them, and all them dudes was acting up, and he said, yo, Kemet won today. He said, not because of the information, because of how they acted.
Right.
And you always come out and you separate yourself from the other camps for a reason, because you have a discipline that you don't see in the other camps. Not that you're bashing them, but yo, ISUPK ain't gonna do this. And I think that's one of the reasons y'all ain't be a part of the Kemet trial, because y'all know that ass whooping was coming. So you're like, nah,
you know
we don't want to be with them dudes.
In actuality, the reason why, you know, initially it was supposed to be me and Sean Nasi.
Nasi, yes, I remember because I saw the
pictures. They didn't want to be organized in a way that we felt would have been a good representation to go into that battle, because we knew with Polite and Reggie and Unc and all of them in there, they would use the divide and conquer. So Nazi's Old Testament, Hashar's AOC, Amai, SHBK, so they would use them divisive tactics. So we came up with a way where they would not have been able to use that divisive tactic, but they didn't want to side with that. It was mainly Nazi. Nazi was like a prideful cat, which that's why he fell recently with the child molestation charges. So he didn't want to rock with that, and once he didn't want to do that, we said, okay, it's going to be confusion if you do it your way, so that's why we stepped away. And as you saw, it was a bunch of confusion. Like that cat that spoke in the beginning, I didn't even know that was the Israelites' first round.
Yeah, me
I
either.
forget the guy with the pink shirt. I forget what
The police dude.
The police dude, right?
Yeah.
So at the whole time he's speaking, I'm thinking like Sanetta's giving him like, because Sanetta let me talk at the Kemet on trial. So I'm thinking Sanetta is letting him talk, and then when he finished talking, they like, okay, that's their first round. I'm like, damn. And so that confusion that came about, that's why. And so that's why we didn't rock with the Kemet on trial. So now a lot of people see you as Kemet. You know what I mean? Because you affiliate with the Amon-Ra squad, which we'll talk about that later, but because you affiliate with the Amon-Ra squad, or because you affiliate with Sanetta, or because you affiliate with all of them, like I come in, when Sanetta puts somebody on his channel, I say blackity black, that's the term I use. I automatically assimilate them with Kemet until they separate themselves. Now, you never really separated yourself from Kemet. And then now we see this debate, or before even the debate came, we see these live streams where you're going at a Jabari, you're going at a Jabari, or going at Kemet. So like, where does that come from?
All right. First and foremost, I don't like the names of different groups, because with black folks, it's like we so used to the gang mentality.
Right.
So when you say the Amon-Ra squad or this team or that team, it seems like there's a battle or who's better, my team's better. I'm not into that. I'm more into information and what's the truth and try to find out stuff. I'm a researcher. I'm like Reggie. I'm like a modern day Reggie.
Right.
I just love to research.
Okay.
And the thing is, with Kemet, when I heard Amon-Ra squad, you see automatically you start thinking of Kemet, but it was just a name because they were African centered, and Kemet is an African country.
Okay.
So people say Amon-Ra squad. Why are you gonna call yourself Amon-Ra if you don't represent Kemet? And that's one of the problems. I mean, Amon-Ra squad recruited me as far as being a member. Not directly, Team Osirus.
Okay.
Team Osirus recruited me, and Brother Ngozi and Kansu came to me and said, I want you to be a part of Team Osirus. So in 2016, I became a member, or 2015, I became a member of Team Osirus. Right? They're like a sidekick to the Amon-Ra squad. They also research.
So it's like Amon-Ra squad is the big, and then under that
it's like
umbrella,
a matrix, right?
Right, okay.
So I already had the Dagger squad, me, Raw Bond, and like around 15 of us used to be in this group called Hebrew Israelites versus Kemetic Science. We built that Facebook group.
That Facebook, okay, I got you.
That's the
you
one.
know, Rathwan was in that MBK group, right? You know, I know what that MBK stand for. Initially, MBK stand for Nigga Brew Killers.
Nigga Brew.
There's a sister, Soraya.
Yeah, Soraya. Yeah.
Me and Soraya was real cool. Like I was like, Soraya had called into the show one time, and cause we had did the show like talk about how Bob Marley's a white guy, and so she called in disputing it, and so since then, you know, I corresponded with her, whatever. So when the MBK came out, she told me what that MBK. So I never let Rob Bourne get away because he calls it the new black knowledge. Now, nigga, stick to what it was initially. But so I know about that. I ain't mean to stop over. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it was me, Raw Bond, and a bunch of other dudes in the group, and we used to just drop knowledge. But most of these dudes were into Kemet. Raw Bond was into Kemet at the beginning, bro. He was deep into the studies of Kemet. Now, when we started the group, the Dagger Squad, we were just about throwing mad daggers at the Bible, pretty much the Bible. Issues with Kemet. My only issue was the whole thing about Jesus being Horus and all of this stuff come from Kemet. I always had a problem with that, but I never shared it because I didn't know where other people was. And sometimes you don't want to ruffle feathers when you're the new guy. Right. You know, so I never really brought it out. But then I started seeing internal strife between different parts of the groups, you know, whether it's Team Osirus and Team Osirus, Amon-Ra squad or whatever. And what I would notice is that what they all centralized and agreed on is that most of the stuff that we see about Kemet is not really the true sense of what Kemet is.
Okay.
So you would see a lot of romanticism, like Kemet is like, you say, who the first person to have a shoes? He must have come from Kemet. Who the first person to take the dog?
Y'all be off the
first
chain
toilet,
with that.
Kemet.
Yeah, y'all be off
first
the chain
hat,
with
candle
that,
hat,
man.
Kemet. Everything
Kemet,
wallet,
Kemet,
Afro pick.
Right.
You know, although Afro pick is actually true. So when Zion now came out and said, because Zion, what Zion is a master at, he's a master of putting out information that nobody else studies. So he's the only really person that really concentrates on Sumer.
Right.
So if I had debated him 2016, he would have beat the shit out of me.
Okay.
You understand?
Right.
So when I started, he's the reason why I studied Sumer, by the way, too. We bought books. Remember, all born, we bought like 13, 14 books. And we say, yo, we're going to study this, what this dude is saying, and try to get to the end of it. And studying Sumer, I had to defend Egypt. So people think I defend Kemet because of the whole thing back and forth with Zion Lex, because of that. So I was just defending an African nation. I wasn't defending no Kemet per se because I love Kemet. It's a part of Africa, you know, but Kemet is all good, man. I just don't think we should concentrate a lot on Kemet, you know, to each their own. I can't come to you, bro, and say, yo, you're not a Hebrew Israelite, man. And then all of a sudden now I'm saying, hey, we Egyptians. It's the same thing.
Right.
They are using the same
You want me to transfer from being an Israelite, and then now you're saying I'm Egyptian.
Right. It's the same thing. You know, we run. I think we all run from West Africa. Not that every single person is from West Africa, but the majority of us, our roots is in West Africa.
So that's where, so you transition through all the different spiritual systems and then Kemet. Now, did you, during all of them periods, was you always West African based, or after Kemet did you start pushing toward, like where did the West Africa part?
The West African part, to be honest with you, that was more recent time period. More recent. I mean, I always knew I was from West Africa. You know, my brothers laughed when I did a DNA test. They said, "Oh, it's gonna show you from Ghana." We already know that. Our mom used to teach us in Jamaica. She used to tell us Anansi stories. We eat ackee and sausage, which is from Ghana. You know, we have rituals, which are taki and three-finger jack. We used to have a guy, you know, when LeBron James and Kevin Garnett, before they play a game, they used to always clash with powder. That means you're going to war in West Africa. That's a Akan tradition.
Okay.
So we used to do that in Jamaica when we go to war with the slave master.
Okay.
So before, they used to have a guy named Three-Finger Jack. He would do it and say that the white man's bullet can't kill him. So he would boom, and he went out and started killing white folks from plantation to plantation. Taki did the same thing, and they did the same thing with clapping what LeBron James did.
Right.
And in 1712 in New York, the same people that rebelled did the same thing too. Clapped the powder, ready to go to war. So we see the Akan culture all over the world, all over in the West, in Jamaica, in Suriname, in Haiti, in New York. We see the same culture. So the Akan culture was already embedded in me. I didn't have to front and say I'm West African. I speak Jamaican. Jamaican is a part of the Twi language. So I have the dialect of the West Africans also.
Okay. So with that, I want to say within the past 2 years, I think is when Jabari came on the scene. I think it's been about, well, we in 2020
Well, he was
now,
from before, but we just never knew him.
Well, the only thing I know about him, you ever seen that picture with him with them other brothers with their little outfits on, like they going to war? They talk about our garments.
Hey,
that shit look a hot mess. But I never heard of Jabari at all. But I didn't have to. This is not a diss to Jabari.
Right.
I just never had heard of him. You know, in the conscious community, I've been around it since 2013. Before that, I had never really heard of nobody. So I'm being introduced to everybody. I had seen SETI prior to.
Right.
But outside of him, I hadn't seen nobody. And so Jabari comes on, like, I want to say around 2017, 16, 17, where we're starting to see him on Sanetta's channel. And so since he's been on Sanetta's channel, you know, I've interacted with him a few times. Zion Lex have. You have. Sanetta considered him the Floyd Mayweather. I think he's lost. Like, there's a video, like, see how you're here. There's a radio show, which you can see on my channel, where Jabari came to our school, and Sanetta won't put that footage up because that's how bad Jabari got beaten. So when he says Floyd Mayweather, it strikes me as odd. I've seen him interact with Prospect, seen him interact with Zion. Couple rounds, I think he did beat Zion in the actual debate that they had on Sumer versus Egypt. from a chronological perspective, Sumer existed before Egypt. So would you agree to that or no?
No.
You don't. So you think
No,
Sumer
I don't,
is after Egypt?
You know what? When I was a child, I spoke as a child. But when you grow up and be a man, you put away childish things. I don't hold to anybody being first anymore. And the reason why, brother.
About time y'all done grew up.
The reason why, because civilization is the system, what you would call the white man system, or science, is determining to us what a city is.
Right.
You understand? So
right.
I would agree, based on their definition of a city, that Eridu in Sumer was the first city.
Okay.
But what about the city in Nubia, 15,000 years ago, that
right.
had the houses? So
right.
that would predate that by 10,000 years. But I'm just saying, their definition of city might not be the same as mine.
Right.
So to say Sumer is first, you gotta show me the language. You gotta show me the agriculture. You gotta show me all of that stuff. And
but I think that's important what you're saying, because even for us being Israelites, we're not trying to be first nothing. I'm quick to tell somebody, if you go with the chronology in the Bible, Israel or Jacob is the youngest nation to come forth. So you got Ham running a bunch of stuff, Japheth running a bunch of stuff, Shem running a bunch of stuff before Jacob comes to play. So we're being the youngest nation, we're not going to be a first a lot of nothing. You know, so that first thing wasn't it's not important to me. It's not important to ISUBK about being first. It's only about who we are.
Let me add on to this by saying this: the Mayan culture. And when you talk about Cairo, Peru, and all these structures that they have, and the civilization that was going on here in North America way before Kemet. Not civilization. Let me just be careful. They sprung up on their own. They didn't need Kemet. They didn't need Sumer.
Right.
Indus Valley didn't need Kemet. Didn't need Sumer. Ancient China didn't need Kemet. Didn't need Sumer. They all sprung up on their own. So when you study the whole globe, you gotta give it up for human beings for doing whatever they did, instead of trying to say one is smarter than the other.
And I think that's where a lot of people, I know for me, why I have such a disdain outside of I don't care about not being a people, because not being a people don't mean that you can't get math or science. Like, being an Israelite does not stop you from learning from something else. As long as I'm not learning that spirituality, whatever they have to offer, you can take that with anything.
But Tazaryach, you're a Hebrew Israelite, right?
Just Israelite.
Yeah. And that's your spiritual system.
Right.
You should never argue your spiritual system.
Right.
Right? So if somebody's having a conversation, I gotta come to you and say, hey, this is my perspective based on your spiritual system. Just to let you know, this is a spiritual conversation I'm gonna have with you, although you're a believer, I'm a non-believer. But if I come to you and say, listen, I'm gonna deal with this from a science perspective, I don't wanna hear none of that spiritual shit. I don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Not to call you spiritual as shit, but I'm saying I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what science says and what we can prove with a methodology. So that would have avoided a lot of these debates we've seen in the past. Even now, I don't even debate on Facebook no more in them groups. People don't see me in the groups anymore because it don't make no sense. Because if I'm going to say to you, hey, Jacob don't exist, right? And you say to me, well, according to my text, which is my spiritual guide, it says Jacob exists.
Right.
We can't find a common ground because that's a spiritual conversation. I'm talking historically. We're not going to meet at any road. Right. So you got to have a basis, and this is for everybody that debates on YouTube. If you don't make a stance where you're going to debate on, whether it's spiritual or science, you got to make a branch in the road for that.
Right, because it prevents you from being able to have certain conversations. So I know when cats be telling me, this was the first this was the first that, it just never makes sense to me. But when they had the debate, I felt like Zion Lex won that debate. And so Jabari starts rummaging through different cats that Sadetta brings. Right. So you have the Ali Muhammad, you have Sanjettis, you have all these different people that he interacts with. And so one of the major questions that I want to ask, only because y'all doing this debate, there is no chronological question that I have. I'm just asking them as they come. What was said the other day, and I'll tell you what I said. What was said the other day is that the reason why everybody is coming at Jabari is because you guys are jealous of Jabari. Y'all jealous because Sadetta calls him the Floyd Mayweather. Y'all jealous because he has his own shrine, or y'all jealous because he's beating everybody or because he's the flavor that everybody's gravitating to. So Sanetta asked me, before I let you give your take on it, Sanetta asked me, well, what would you say? Do I feel that y'all are jealous? I said, well, here's what I'll say. I said, with everybody coming at Jabari, he can make a plausible argument that they are jealous of him. I said, because to my knowledge, I thought all of y'all was cool. I ain't say y'all all agreed on the same thing, but all of y'all had like some type of common ground, like, we gonna bash the Bible, we gonna disagree with this, but we gonna bash the Bible. So when I see Reggie coming at Jabari's neck, Amon Squad coming at Jabari's neck, Garfield coming at, I'm like, damn, why they all coming at him? I said, so I'm not saying whether they are or not, but if I was Jabari, I could make a plausible argument that they are. So the question for you is, are you jealous or have some animosity about Jabari, or is your stance of coming at Jabari about something else?
All right. Let me just say this to everybody. Our issue with Jabari, and when I say
don't say nothing else. I'm not cutting you off. I don't want to say nothing else. But to my YouTube audience, for y'all to get the rest of this interview and get this answer, you're going to have to subscribe to our Patreon, which I'm putting the link in the description right now. To get the rest of this answer and the rest of this interview, you're going to have to subscribe to our Patreon to get the rest of it. I have a ton of more questions that I'm going to ask Garfield. I appreciate him coming. He's on the hot seat. It's going to get a little hotter. So to get the rest of this, you're going to have to subscribe to the channel. So with that, I say shalom. All right? They're going to be mad at me about that one. They're going to be hot. I was looking for my damn water, too. Hold on, let me just see if I put my water at. Where did I put my water? Oh, that's right here. Looking for my water too. So now, with it, you know, the camera's still filming here. So now with that, so what is your reason? And this is the hot seat. Don't be afraid. We want the raw, unadulterated truth. We don't want no pussyfooting or none of that. You got the floor.
All right. We don't have an issue with Jabari per se, as far as him doing whatever he's doing, whether it's the shrine or whatever. We don't really care about that. Reggie Moore is into the whole shrine thing and think it's useless.
Right.
That's not our argument originally. Our argument is based on the fact that we felt that how Jabari went about the debate and how he basically snatched the debate from us.
Okay.
Showed his character.
Okay.
That was the issue.
What debate are you talking about?
The one with Vince Bantu.
Okay, so there was a debate with, give a little...
It's supposed to be the Christians versus the conscious community, right? So what Jabari pretty much did was, Jabari went and did the debate on his own, without working on a deal without us knowing.
Okay.
So when I saw the flyer come out, I said, Chris, where's the rest of us at? Oh, so I didn't tell y'all? Oh, Jabari's just going to debate Vince by himself. I'm like, huh? So we felt slighted. We're like, yo, you could have at least give us a heads up. We'd have give you the blessing. We'd have like, yo, go do your thing, but at least come to us as a man and say, hey, I'm going to do this just to let y'all know. You went all the way to Egypt. You could have text back and forth with Chris, but you couldn't send. We all in the same back chat. You could have basically said, hey, you know, I'm going to do the debate. We'd have give you the blessing, bro. We would have been mad at you or nothing.
Okay.
Then tried to cover up that whole thing, showed some character flaws that I didn't like. I basically told him straight up. I said, bro, this is like, you're like the Eddie King Jr. in the group, bro, from the 5 Heartbeats. I didn't hide. I didn't go behind his back. I told him that directly in front of everybody. You're like the Eddie King Jr. You decided to go do something on your own, behind our backs. No problem.
Okay.
I said what I had to say. I'm done with this.
Okay.
Now, as far as the debate now, we start talking about the debate. I'm hoping by watching it that he wins the debate. Because you said something like, oh, you lost. You remember you was on the phone with me and He said, yo, he lost, man. I'm like, yo, Tazaryach ain't gonna lie though, bro. That's what I'm telling Uncle when you get off the phone. I said, you think about it, Tazaryach is not a liar.
Right.
We watched the debate. I said, you know what? I'm gonna reserve my comments about the debate until I watch the whole thing.
Okay.
The first round, I kind of thought it was like a tie, but I gave Bantu the edge, right? The second round, Jabari had him, but Jabari started talking about this Heru stuff, and that messed up the entire second round because he had Vince Bantu in that second. He could have knocked him out in that second round. I said, okay, I felt Jabari lost. It wasn't personal. I'm trying to be fair. I want him to win because now the Christians are like, yo, they body bagged him.
Right.
Doreen and all of them doing shows. I'm like, damn, they're making mad laps. They're running around. I'm like, damn.
Even Chris Broussard, Chris was happy as hell. He was like, yeah, we told y'all don't want it with this cat.
There was a video. I got to say this too on the tape. When me, Jabari, Doreen, and those two young brothers, Christian brothers, met at Jabari house. They had to take that video down, so I never show that video. I think I got it on my phone. I'm gonna put it up. I beat the hell out of them Christians. Bereen was like the whole time, yeah, Garfield's right, man. We might not like what he's saying, but he's right. I beat the hell, but they called up Sonnet, of course, as usual. Don't put that up. So that video ain't up. That was before the debate. That would have scared them though. That would have scared Dr. Mason and Dr. Banjo. By the way, shout out to Vince Band too, because I think he's a breath of fresh air to the community. It's good to see black people who are scholars who study this stuff.
Definitely, man.
Me and him is now friends on Facebook. He hit me up. He said, yo, when I come to Missouri, we could sit down and chop it up. But I think he's a wise brother. And but I just disagree with him. That don't mean I'm jealous of him. So I disagree with Jabari's approach to the debate. And one of the things that we had a problem with is he said that Athanasius went on the walls and stole stuff off the walls at Kemet and brought it into the biblical text or the tradition. We asked him for a source. This was when we were studying for the debate. He said, I'm going to get back to you. He never brought the source. He felt we were being combative towards him, right? Because we're a team. It was me, Asar, Unk, Jabari, Dr. Mayat. And the whole time, family, is if we're studying for a debate.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Let me see if you guys have any mail in the building.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
If we studying to debate somebody or challenge someone, you are hoping that you want all the information that's coming out for everybody to review it. I don't want no hide and seek information.
Right, especially if y'all on the same team.
Give an example. Kemet on trial, Shaka's presentation that he did, he was helped by the Amara squad. All them sources you saw Shaka with, Amara squad went over his presentation. Not trying to be funny, like Shaka can't research, but they gave him a couple daggers. When the dude talk about his locks, the response, they gave him that response.
Oh, okay. And let me tell you, if I could, not to interrupt you, when he came with that, you know, that kind of dealt a healthy, mighty blow to the GOCC cat, because that was one of his main things, the lock, and that was heavy. That was hardcore right there. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, peace. Yeah, man, but it's all about teamwork, though, because you want to make sure that, you see, the questions was kind of funny with the debate, too. Because if you're saying, is Christianity the white man's religion? I believe Christianity is a white man's religion. That's my belief. Well, I wouldn't say belief. I think it's a white man's religion based on my research. The next question is, do you think Kemet is a copycat, or Christianity is a copycat of Kemet? So those two questions, I had a problem with that. I went to Asar and Unk and said, nah, that's a trap. Because if you say it's a white man's religion, you can't say Kemet influenced it. Because then it's Kemet's religion. So it's like you...
Right. So it'd almost be like, Christianity is real, let's just call it Kemet.
Exactly.
So now it's not, so Christianity is not a lie, we just calling it something different. If we call it Kemet, then we're fine. So we can read Genesis and all that and just call them Commission.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. So now it put us in a bind, so we put out to Christendom and say, yo, we need to change these questions. But Christendom, they had a motive behind this debate.
Of course.
They really didn't want us. They wanted Jabari, they wanted young Pharaoh, they wanted Seti, they wanted Shaka. Because they pretty much into this Egypt stuff to the point where they say Heru is Jesus, the resurrection is Osirus, all these different teachings. They want that type of conscious community guy. They don't want Garfield and the Amira squad. So they really didn't want us. So they wanted them. And the truth of the matter is, family, I don't have a problem if they had picked anybody and not picked me. I don't really care. You know, I'm just saying, if you pick me to be on a team and we're doing teamwork, let's study as a team and try to come up with a way how we're going to attach these things.
That makes sense.
And I felt from the jump that Jabari wasn't, he felt like we were attacking him and all that stuff, and that's just how we get down when we studying, man. I know Sakawar used to do research for you. I could imagine you and Sakawar and the other brothers saying, "Nah, man, I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna." I mean, people do that to get the right information, and plus, you gotta strategize. You can't, because Jabari's a good orator. He's a good orator, a good debater. I'm not knocking him for that. He might be better than us. Polite is a good debater too. But when it comes to the information and research, that's just what Amara Squad and Dagger Squad does, you know?
Okay, so this is not about a jealousy. This is just a genuine indifference in ideologies or beliefs or thought process of what Kemet is and what it really is. So is it safe to say that you, Amara Squad, Reggie, are kind of like of the same thought process of what Kemet is, as far as, because I know even I believe, and this is not a debate, this is just what I think of Kemet. I don't think that Kemet didn't believe in that. I think that they did.
Didn't believe in what? As far as the
like the afterlife, the gods, and
of course they did.
Right. Okay. So we agree with that. So because Jabari, tells me that they didn't. For me, Rabon got that sit down he did with Jabari. He got that for me. And not 2019, 2018. Rabon was actually there.
I was there too.
Oh, right. You was there too. Yeah. So when I'm telling them, okay, you telling me they don't believe this, but they got all these mummified dogs, they got all of this, but you telling me that they didn't believe that it was real, that they thought it was something else. So all of y'all are kind of the same token. So now if you so now as you head into this debate, you had a live stream that I heard that you went ham on Jabari in it. And I don't know if is that what kind of sparked the debate? You did like a live stream where
I made this debate. I did everything on purpose. When I called him out, I wanted to debate.
So you called.
So when I didn't go to his house that day, nobody dictates to Garfield, yo, show up. You ain't my boss. So I know if I had showed up that day, there would be no debate.
Okay, so it was a strategy behind it.
Of course.
Because it was looked at as you was running.
No, because Sarnetta told us to come. I said Tuesday, I can't come Tuesday at 5 p.m. Tuesday morning, I'm doing the live stream, but because I do credit repair, I could play the live stream and do my work and let dudes talk all day on my live stream. So I could do what I'm doing. So I said I got to catch up on my work. My clients are first. I ain't worried about sitting down with Jabari. So I said, if you're going to sit down at 5 p.m., I got to get somebody to pick up my son, because that's my responsibility first, family. If I get somebody to pick up my son, then Tuesday evening I could come. Tuesday morning I'm live, I see Sarnetta say, yo, you're not coming? I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I thought you said Wednesday, Sarnetta. And Sarnetta gets on the phone now and said, yeah, he's right, Jabari, but Sarnetta just be flipping. Whoever talks last, he jumps on that. So, that's my man Sarnetta, man. But I'm about to go see him too in a few minutes, man, after this. I'm about to go see him. But the issue with the debate, I manifested this. I planned this out. So I wanted to call him out. I wanted to do it. Because one of the things... No, not because of the debate. Okay. Because of what Jabari did. Because Jabari told them a whole different side, like we didn't come to the debate. We didn't support him because we didn't come to the debate because of differences that we have. That wasn't the truth. You worked out a deal with Chris Prasad and Vince Ventura. They ain't got nothing to do with me.
Because I was at that debate, right?
Exactly. So he made it seem, based on what the Christian community put out on video, Sister Cherry and all of them. Oh, they didn't show up. They didn't support Jabari. They didn't come to the debate because they were scared and all this stuff they were saying. And
Sister Cherry, that's the girl that messes with vocab. She rocks with vocab. I don't mean mess with like
yeah. So basically, he was telling the community that because of monies and all this different stuff, we didn't show up, and it wasn't about that. The fact of the matter is, they also looped us all together, like we believe that Horus is Jesus and all that stuff. So my job right now is to point out that we are not the same as him. We don't believe Heru is Jesus. We don't believe this. We don't believe none of that stuff. We're totally different. We give more credence to the Bible than a lot of people do, because we deal with scholarship. It's not about emotion. Oh, I don't like the Bible, so I'm going to talk everything bad about the Bible. Nah, truth is truth. We got to stand up on it. I'm going to still say Jacob don't exist. I'm going to still say all of that stuff, because that's dealing with the scientific method of how historiography is done. You base it on the evidence that you have, the internal evidence of the Bible, the external evidence of archaeology, anthropology, DNA, genetics, and linguistics, and you try to see where this Jacob story come from. You do a comparative research with all other cultures around, the Hittites, the Hurrians, the Sumerians, the Egyptians, all these people to see if Jacob, it makes sense for that time period. And the conclusion is, based on the scholarship, he didn't exist. Now, as a faith base, if I tell you Jacob don't exist, your existence here is null and void, because Jacob is the father of the 12 tribes.
Now, when you do from like history and science, right, this is a question kind of off topic, but based on what you said. The Moabites, for example, right, before, I believe, the 1700s, it was thought that the Bible made them up, right, because there was no scientific evidence or anything like that. So you're talking about the Bible mentioned them in BC time. There's no historical find until the 1700s. So from that time until the 1700s, it's like that's how you would say the Bible is a lie, and right?
No, what it is
not when I'm saying the Bible. I'm saying the Bible as a blanket statement, but not the whole entire Bible.
Right.
But because this part about the Moabites is a lie, any interaction that Israel has with Moabites is a lie, because the Moabites don't exist because we don't find them.
No, I think what happened is, remember, there's something called the Albright Scholarship, all right? And what happened is, the Albright School, and what happened is, people go with the Bible to go look through and see what is true and what's not true. They use the Bible as the preface. Like if you're going to research something about the Bible or anything, you're always going to make the Bible the primary source for everything, right? That's based on your faith. Now, once you use archaeology and anthropology, genetics and linguistics, it gives you an opportunity to look at what evidence is there at that time period and then try to match it with the Bible. Because if you use the Bible first, you're always going to say this don't exist, that don't exist. What we need to understand with the Moabite, which is a very important point. Some people, because they didn't see any evidence of the Moabite, like, oh, they jump out, put out memos, oh, the Moabites, it's a lie, it's a lie. No, that was the wrong way of doing research. People learn from their mistakes. So that example is a good example, but I'll say this because I know I mentioned Jacob. The thing with Jacob, though, and the 12 tribes is that there's enough internal evidence to draw on to make us know that he's what's called a part of a literary trope, or a better way to put it.
Maybe oral tradition?
A better part, no, he's a part of an eponymous ancestor, or what's called etiology in scholarship. What it is you make up a figure. When you're making up a tradition, you have an oral tradition, but you make up an eponymous ancestor. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and then you move forward. And plus, Jacob was a common name, in a Semitic name anyway, so I don't know why people even like a
with
Jacob.
With all that you said, the reason why I bring that up is because for us, like when you say a lot of it is faith-based, which it is, a lot of it is the stuff that we believe. But when it comes to the people, we follow whatever that Bible says, as you said, regardless of what historical artifact is found, because the Bible is our primary. And an example of the Moabite stone or the Moabite stela, whenever they found it in 1700, is the proof for somebody like me. That's the proof that the Bible is a primary source, because it wasn't found. So they would look at the Moabite portion of the record and say, okay, that's not true, and then they would find it. Now they got to re-examine and rewrite or rethink what they thought about the Bible for that reason. So just because you ain't found that evidence to substantiate what the primary source of the Bible says doesn't make the Bible not be a primary source. It just means that that evidence was just covered up like that. And then, now not to stay on that because I didn't want to debate that. I didn't want to debate. I just want.
But it's a good. I was going to say that's a good point.
Yeah,
and I think
you know, I body bag Rob Bourne with that. He helped me. Me and Rob Bourne.
Oh yeah. Because he was looking up the Moabites up after that. I remember that.
Yeah.
He wasn't talking
remember that?
Time.
Yeah.
And you said, I was like, damn man, I was mad when I listened to that. We had a chance to beat that boy and you just let it slip. Rob Bourne.
Yeah, Rob Bourne to this day.
You let him live for that day, man.
Yeah, because we was having a good dialogue, and he's the one that spawned in me. If it wasn't for this debate that I got with Dr. Bantu, because I'm in the process of going through West Africa, I never really delved into the West African side to show Israelite in it. So Rob Bourne is the reason that I'm doing that. But when we had that conversation and he brought that up, he pretty much gave me the assist for what we call the body bag, because that's the proof why the Bible is the primary source.
Yeah, because he was all comatose and that, and I was like, damn man, he must have just done smoking, man. He let you off the hook. I was watching it and I was, you let him get away. What? Oh, man.
Yeah, that was perfect. But now you mentioned the 12 tribes, and I want to get back onto the debate. But I want to mention the 12 tribes. You know, Captain Tazaryach did a 12 tribe lecture. Now, when he did the lecture, you made this great, I'm going to debunk Tazaryach's 12 tribe lecture. And really, we're looking for the reason why we did it, right? The reason why we did the lecture, not to look for somebody to debunk it, but we hadn't done one in such a long time. You know, we just, you know, we had, like, when you come to class, we do like tribal breakdowns if people ask, but nobody's really asked to do a full breakdown. So Tazaryach did the whole 12 tribe breakdown. So you made the stance of debunking it. So where you at with it?
Yo, it took me 4 years to finish my book, family. And every time something new pops up, because there's a segment in my book. Hold on a second. Let me tell you right exactly. I want to be 100% sure.
You carry two phones like me. I carry two.
Well, this is my business phone.
Yeah, that's what that is.
All right. Let me go to my book chapters real quickly. I'm gonna tell you something.
Sidebar about my business. I put a 20% sale and they kill it. I got like 100 and something orders in there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's good. Definitely.
All right. Chapter 16 is Black Hebrew Israelite claims refuted. And what it is, it's over 50 different claims. And these 50 different claims, just like somebody said, Kumbaya is referring to Yahweh, and you know, just some silly claims. And some of the claims that are made by Tazaryach in the video is addressed in that, right? But I do address the 12 tribes extensively from a faith-based perspective and from a scientific perspective. Now, from a faith-based perspective, I show within the biblical text a lot of things that we believe is doubled up in the Bible, meaning that there's a story that, say for example, Tazaryach went over the river. There's another story in the Bible that said Tazaryach didn't go over the river. So what I do is with the 12 tribes, I look at their genealogy, and there's a guy by the name of, over 40 years ago, this is scholarship from 40 years ago, that I think the community needs. And you know what, let's forget about my book for a minute. The 12 tribes chart stuff is, I watched it, right? But when I watched it, right, I said, this dude took his time to do this presentation. So for one, Tazaryach, we got our problems, but I got to give you props for that. Right? The second thing is, a lot of it, the only thing I'm going to have a problem with, and he knows, because I told him on Facebook, I don't really study the bearing straight. So that's the only thing left. I have all my notes for him. As a matter of fact, I let the whole Dagger Squad watch it. I was split it up in 30-minute segments to let them respond to it. But I said I'm going to do it myself, and I'm gonna respond to it. As a matter of fact, if he wants to, now you know what? I'll respond to it. And if he wants to sit down after, we sit down and talk about it.
I think that's what he's waiting for.
Yeah.
Like Tazaryach is looking for somebody and somebody do it seriously. Not somebody that ho-hum about it.
Let me say this though. What he left out, I think, is that there's a lot of people claiming different tribes all over the world, right? And the 12 tribes, again, is a part of a literary trope. The 12 tribes, just like the Persians had 12 gods, and the Greeks had the Amphictyonian League and all that stuff. All that writing of the 12 tribes is not original to the biblical folks. It's something that developed later on, all right? But in the presentation, Tazaryach, I got you. What I'm going to do is, my book comes out March. I'm going to probably release it the day of the debate, but I'm going to have pre-orders from February. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to do a presentation full blast on your thing. I already have my notes and everything. I got a whole file on it already that I took notes and at 30 minutes this, 30 minutes that. So what I'm doing is I'm going to respond, and I'm going to do I'm going to respond to everything you said. I'm not leaving out the Native American part. I'm not leaving out the Central American part. I'm not doing nothing. I'm going to show you the roots, how you got to where you are, and I'm going to show you the counter argument and where I agree, because there's stuff I agree with you on. I can't just look at your presentation and say, oh, I'm going to debunk it. No. The honest thing to do is look at it and say, hey, the brother got a point right here. I got issues with the Native Americans, though, and I got an issue with Ephraim. If I was an Israelite, 3 tribes I wouldn't claim. Ephraim, Manasseh, and Judah. Those 3 tribes don't claim those tribes. I'll tell y'all that right now. My book ends all of that stuff. But anyway.
No problem. So now, we're getting back to the debate. So in the debate, because I'm not going to keep you too much longer. So in the debate, you said y'all working on the topics of the debate.
The 3 different topics that's going to be. The base is Kemet influence on Egypt. Garfield is not saying Kemet had no influence on Christianity. Right? Garfield is not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, 1, I don't see that much direct influence. 2, there's other cultures that influence the people that eventually became Christians. And 3, the people that were the first Christians were Jews. What did they follow first? We got to go into the text. We got to go to their text.
Right.
Their text is the New Testament. So that means, how am I going to talk about Christians and not address their text? So these things you're going to have to address. The literature, meaning that if you look at Mark and what Mark taught and all those things, you got to look at the prophecies, because you got prophecies where in Isaiah 53 it points to something. Different prophecies in Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel that points to a person, a son of man, a Jesus, a Messiah. You got to show me that, how Kemet came up with that ideas.
Right.
And if you show me those concepts, and then another big thing is the calendar. The calendar they use primarily is from the Babylonians, the calendar that the Jews use and mix up. And then you talk about the Metonic cycle. The Metonic cycle is particularly for the Israelites. So those particular things, there's a brother been on Daniel's show. Daniel's show. He's in Jersey. He's like the great. I love to sit down with that dude. He's one Israelite I need to just politic with, because he understands the cycles, the 28 days, the calendar days, the Yom Kippur. Why the date is this day? Why is it that day? And that type of individual show me Kemet ain't got nothing to do with that. Kemet is a 10-day week. 10-day week. They ain't got nothing to do with the 7-day Sabbath. They ain't got nothing to do with the actual calendar, the 28-day calendar. They ain't got nothing to do with that.
Okay.
So, and those things, because in Acts 4:12 it says Easter in the King James, but it really means Passover.
Passover, right.
So show me how your Passover, Egypt influenced Passover. Egypt influenced other Egyptians to celebrating it. Come on.
And for my side, now for me, I like to hear that, because I get sick of people saying that, the Bible copies from Kemet, and it just shows almost like a childlike thought process of your understanding of the Bible and really your understanding of Kemet, because they don't go together at all. Even if you use to show like a moral standpoint, because usually people like to use like the laws, like the 42 negative confessions, the 10 commandments, and then people say we got 600. Having a moral authority, I think every culture has that.
Every
culture. Persian culture, Kush culture, Nubian, Kemet, Israelite, everybody's going to say don't kill, don't do certain things. So that's not the proof that someone copies from somebody. You got to show like their spiritual systems and stuff like that, but you're not going to show between the two.
In my thing that I was going to bring out is the white man's religion. I was going to show. See, the thing is, Christianity. We got to define what Christianity is too. That's one of the biggest things, because Christianity, as we look at it today, is not Christianity at all. No disrespect to anybody who believes in Christianity.
Well, I will. But okay.
That's not Christianity.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is, this is why the Hebrew Israelites come out. I got to give them that these guys are destroying the culture, the Jewish culture, and I'm sorry to use the word Jewish, but the Israelite culture, that these people try to talk about there's a Messiah and so forth. And my whole thing is, if you don't know first century history, second century, third century, you shouldn't even be in a dialogue with Christians about the white man's religion. Because I'm here on the Sabbath, right? Today is the Sabbath. This is the day that Jesus actually told people he was worshiping on.
Right.
And if I'm a Christian, I'm trying to follow Christ, right? So why is it that most of the Christians today celebrate the Sabbath on another day?
Right.
You see, those are things that are important to the Israelite culture. You have to get into the culture. With Kemet now, come on. if you're going to get into the culture, they don't even agree who was worshiping or who not. Right. Or you going to come and tell me Passover and Sabbath and it's connected to Egypt. These are some of the biggest things that value within the Israelite culture. Imagine somebody celebrating the Sabbath from 3,000 years ago up until today. Come on. Those things play a role. Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, the New Year, Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
All those things play a role in someone being an Israelite. You're going to have to show Rosh Hashanah is from Kemet.
Right.
You're going to have to show all of that stuff, all the rituals, all the literature, the storylines. You got to show me that Kemet.
And you got to show the primary source. Not what Zeitgeist said or some movie you saw or something like that. You got to show the source. Because I've yet to see a source where Horus and Christ have anything in common. Not from, when I'm saying source, from a Kemetic perspective.
12 disciples.
Yeah, 12 disciples and all that.
The Magi, I heard Bantu correct him and said, technically it wasn't the Magi that came and visited the 3 or whatever. But the Magi, by the way, that's Persian.
Right.
That's not even, they're not Egyptian. Come on, man.
Yeah, so you got to cut that out. So in closing, what do you expect to come out of the debate? Besides winning the debate, I'm assuming that's what you want. But what do you expect to come out for, like the audience that are gonna be in there?
Just to upgrade. I don't want nobody to leave their shrine. I ain't got no shrine to put you in. I ain't got no backup plan for that. Stay in your shrine, but just teach the truth, man. We need to upgrade our information. Not saying that Garfield got all the information and feel he know everything. Look at what I'm saying. If I show a primary source, check it out yourself. And put it out there. And Jabari, I'm telling you, that day your information is done. I'm telling you, it's done. You can't, after that debate, you can't come out with that information no more. You got to change your teaching completely, because there's no way you could go around. And I said it to you earlier. I don't know if I should even say this on camera, but without Christianity, some of these groups don't exist. They don't, because if you take the Christian church out of the conversation, what they gonna talk about?
Yeah, what you're saying echoes what we always say. We say we're the heartbeat of the conscious community. From that perspective, the heartbeat in the sense that if Sinetta ain't talking about that Bible or something like that, then what do they talk about? Now, of course, he has other stuff that he could talk about, but when he want that fire started, that fire lit, he goes and talks about.
You got 3 billion people attached to the book.
Yeah.
So the reason why my book is important, I feel, for the community is because I'm addressing it from a faith base and a scientific base. So I'm giving both sides and let y'all look at my conclusions and see what I say, so that you can, if you're a faith, it's probably going to strengthen your faith. There's going to be some stuff in it that's going to be hard to swallow because it's in the text. And I said to you on the live stream, I'm not challenging your Bible unless it's coming out of your Bible. I'm not using nothing outside to say, hey, this don't exist. I'm going to show you in your Bible why I draw that conclusion. And that's something that nobody has ever done. What we do is we say, oh, look over Assyria. Look over here. No, look in the text. Everything is in that text, family. You ain't got to go nowhere. We don't need no books to deal with the Bible. Trust me on that. Trust me. We don't need no other books. I'm taking his advice indirectly. Because after my book release, trust me, man, you gonna call me in and say, Garfield, we need to talk about this book. You gonna call me in, Garfield, where you found this at, man? Listen, there's a sister, right? She was in IUIC, and I called her the other day, and I said to her, listen, man, this is what I'm gonna put in my book, because I said I can't really talk to and all these people because they ain't really in the Bible like a Hebrew Israelite. I said, what do you think about this? She said, hell no, I don't believe what you're saying. And I showed her in the text. She said, I can't believe I've been studying the Bible for 20 years. I never saw that. And you're going to see when my book come out. I guarantee you, I'm going to put my word on this right now. You're going to call me up and say, Garfield, I got to talk to you about that. I guarantee you.
Well, we'll see. Like I came up Christian, so I've read the Bible a couple times. Being an Israelite since 2010 up until now, we'll see.
I'm telling you, unless you've read it and don't want to put it out to the people.
Well, we'll see what it is.
Because if they say they don't, the best bet for them, by the way, is to say, oh, I never saw that. Because if they did and didn't tell the people, that's a problem. That's a
We'll
problem.
see.
All right?
Well, March 22nd, I appreciate Garfield coming out. It was a pleasure.
Man.
Got to put him on the hot seat. We'll see if he truly responds to Tazaryach's lecture, like you say. And then we'll see if he can stand the fire. This is his first, not debate per se, but first debate where he'll be in front of the audience. So we'll see how it goes. So I appreciate it, man. Shalom to the people.
Jabari. Dead. Peace.
All right, peace, man. That was a good interview, man. I appreciate it.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I saw that. He's like, what are you doing?
This is